हम क्या करते हैं कि वी बेसिकली डिड ऑल द DSA as well as we did all the projects or developments, and then we straight away think that we are good to go. Not only aptitude, but some companies also ask SQL queries also in their first and foremost round. And if you are applying for a product analyst role, then definitely SQL will be asked in your online assessment round. Hi everyone, welcome back to Coding Engineers YouTube channel. Myself Rajat Rawat, and in this video we'll be talking about some tips or what you need to prepare before studying for the online tests, or basically the OAs or the online assessments which you get from the companies as a first round. Okay, so हम क्या करते हैं कि we basically did all the DSA as well as we did all the projects or developments, and then we straight away think that we are good to go. Okay, and we sit for the placements. And for the OA, the first round, it came as aptitude round. In some companies it came as aptitude and technical MCQs. So there we got rejected, because if you don't know aptitude then we got rejected, right? So हम प्रिपेयर तो करते हैं DSA और ये सब कुछ डेटा सेटर्स एल्गोरिथम्स, और तुम्हारा जो हो गया ये डिज़ाइन फंडामेंटल्स सब कुछ, और प्रोजेक्ट सब कुछ, ठीक है. बट द थिंग इज, इंटरव्यू कॉल तो तब आएगी जब हम फर्स्ट राउंड क्वालिफाई करेंगे, राइट? सो इफ़ यू आर नॉट getting shortlisted after first round, then we will not be able to go through the interviews, right? So in order to go through interviews, first we need to clear the first round, and the first round or the first most hurdle in many companies is basically aptitude test as well as technical MCQs. सो वो हम काफ़ी मिस कर देते हैं, तो वो काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है. काफ़ी कंपनियाँ ऐसी हैं जो पूछती है, लाइक ओरेकल हो गई, समटाइम्स अमेजोन आल्सो आस्क, एंड अमेजोन आल्सो आस्क सम लीडरशिप प्रिंसिपल्स लाइक नाउ डेज. So that is if we can exclude it for some company, but the thing is aptitude. And some other companies like your Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, these focus heavily on aptitude, because these are basically uh, mathematics. Basically they are statistics types questions, right? Because they ask for the analyst role, right? So they ask. And similarly there are some roles in which aptitude is heavily focused, like product analyst role. Some roles are also there, right? Product analyst or site reliability engineer, SRE roles. In these also aptitude is asked. Not only aptitude, but some companies also ask SQL queries also in their first and foremost round. Like for the product analyst role, it is a must do to you need to have a good knowledge on the SQL. Okay, that then you are good to go. So those companies ask SQL in their online test as an OA as a first round. Okay, so and even some companies ask Linux also or Unix in their first round, that is as MCQ. They ask, right? So in the technical part, the technical MCQ, they ask they focuses from data such as algorithms, CS fundamentals like operating systems, and your DBMS and your computer networks. These are the must to do. And after this they focus something on other topics like Git, Linux, and all of these. And SQL queries also are asked in many companies. So these are the some things or some topics which I need to tell you, which you need to do before sitting for the online or coding, before sitting for the online tests. Okay, so not all the companies basically ask these things, but quite a lot companies ask these things, and usually service based companies, they definitely ask these things quite a lot. Service based companies, they ask these things in a heavily focused manner, like for TCS, Infosys, Accenture. Not only these, like Oracle and Morgan Stanley, they have a dedicated section in which there is a MCQ part where you need to solve the sections. There are MCQ questions, you need to solve them. Like from the aptitude, they were focused heavily on quantity aptitude as well as on the verbal ability and logical reasoning. These are the three things on which they ask. Okay, and quant is the most famous one for the analyst companies or statistics companies like the Goldman Sachs, or for the Morgan Stanleys. As this Oracle also are these things, right? And there is a dedicated section, like section 1 is for the technical MCQ, in which basically they ask from the core CS subjects. Section 2 is for the aptitude part, in which they basically ask from the all the aptitude parts. Section 3 is for your SQL part, in which they basically ask you SQL queries, and section 4 is your coding part, in which they will ask you questions from coding, where you need to do the coding, right? So this is how the section is divided in your first and foremost OA, which is your online assessment. So what I meant to say in this is that your aptitude is one of the most important thing, and it can also make you non-eligible for the interviews if you not prepare it fully. For example, some companies like NCR Corporation and Optum, these heavily focused on the aptitude and technical MCQ, and after that then you will be shortlisted for the interviews. So there are two type of companies which I want to discuss. First is that who is heavily focused on DSA, and those companies ask only DSA or coding part basically in their first and foremost OA, which is online assessment round, like your Microsoft, like your coordination, like your media.net. These companies are which basically ask, and which comes for the SD position only, they ask DSA only in their first round, and not any other thing other than DSA, not even technical MCQ, right? They heavily focus on DSA, like 2 questions or 3 questions in one and a half or 2 hours, and then after that, if you are shortlisted, then you will go to the interviews. Okay, then there are interviews going on. So this is a one type of company which focused heavily on coding. Another company which is also product based, but they focused on technical MCQ as well as the aptitude round, like the Oracle, Goldman Sachs, and I told you Morgan Stanley. Similarly, they are Optum and Ansel Corporation. So these are some companies which ask technical MCQs as well as aptitude in their round. So from the aptitude, there are also some important topics which you need to do. You can do the aptitude either from the India Bix, or you can also do from the Coding Ninjas page, Code Studio. There you have a guided path, like you have a questions, and also you have a notes of each and every topic about what they teach you, and then there are questions, and they also told you that in which company this question is asked. So some important topics for the aptitude is like time and work, which you can do. That is very important. Almost every company asks questions from time and work, and then here is some ages and relations, blood relations, or you can say ratio and proportion, compound interest, simple interest, profit lost. These are the most important and must do questions from these. And then there is something like relationship between if you are 5 years old and your grandparent is this year old, if you have after 5 years this become this, so that ages and years concepts questions are also important. You can do from the verbal part. There is basically a paragraph which you can read, and then after that you have to answer some questions by getting a thought or insight from the paragraph, that what thing is asked from the question. Similarly, you have a logical reasoning questions, in which the most important is a syllogism, which basically like all bats are blue, all cats are red, like this, right? So there is something like circle and the inner circle, like those questions, like syllogism type questions are very important. You can do, and that I can say almost every company asks those questions. Similarly, one other type of thing which is basically asked in the aptitude round is your DI part, which is data interpretation, in which like you are given a bar graph or a pie graph or a chart or a line graph or any other thing, and then you have to find out the insights from it. Like there is a pie graph given for each and every year, and then you need to tell which graph is the maximum and which graph is the minimum, like this type of questions which are asked. Okay, so this is also one type of DI basically type of question which generally asked in aptitude round. Okay, so what I want to say that you don't need to miss the aptitude round. That is the for first and foremost round in many companies, and that can also make you non-eligible for further rounds if you don't perform well. Similarly, like this, there is technical part, which basically asks your data structures, algorithms, MCQs, your DBMS, your computer networks, and your operating systems fundamentals. So these 4 things you need to prepare so as to get familiar with the technical MCQ part, which was asked in the first round of the many companies. And almost every company asked, except some companies which focuses on only coding, but many companies ask these things. Okay, so from these things you need to prepare. You can prepare from guided path of Code Studio. There you have a guided path of each and every subject, and also the questions are well curated, whichever asked in many companies. Okay, so that is one thing. which you can do. After this, there are some parts which some companies ask, like Git is asked because nowadays work is going on GitHub and Git and all. You need to push, collaborate, pull, and fork, and all of these you need to do, merge, and all of these. So that's why Git is most important. Then Git is also asked in some type of three four MCQs or when the blanks are asked from Git. Similarly, Linux or Unix is also asked. There are some commands or shell scripting commands like pipe command, right? There is that command, and that is the most important grep command, grep. Similarly, many other commands are there. So some important commands you can prepare for Unix because that will definitely help you for the online assessment rounds. Okay, so this is also asked in some companies. Okay, and these you can do that, you are good to go. Similarly, there is SQL round. In the first online assessment round only, there is a SQL section in which you are given a table, and then you have to write a query out of it. Like suppose you are given a table, you need to find the name of all the students whose age is greater than 10 or whose marks is less than 50. Similarly, you are given two tables, you need to join them, and then you need to find out the insights or data out of it. Okay, so SQL is one of the most important part. It will definitely ask, no, if not ask in the on assessment, then it will definitely ask in the interviews. Okay, SQL, and some companies asked SQL in online assessment rounds, like Oracle asked. And if you are applying for a product analyst role, then definitely SQL will be asked in your online assessment round. So that's you need to figure out. And in the SQL, the most important part is your subqueries as well as your joins, because most of the questions are heavily focused on joins as well as on subqueries. Okay, the case statements, the all of these, like if then statements, which is equivalent to case statements in SQL, that is asked in this. And subqueries are there, joins are there. So all of these types of SQL queries can be asked in your interviews. Okay, one another type of interview which is asked, like one is your position like SGE, as I discussed, which is heavily focused on data sets. One I discussed for product analyst, which focused on somewhat SQL also. And third is your site reliability engineer, which is SRE, which focuses on technical MCQ, little bit of coding also, which is little bit easy compared to SGE, and they focuses on Git as well as your cloud features like your Git and your Unix features also. So SRE is another good profile in which you can apply for, but for that you need to prepare for some things like these which I discussed. Also, aptitude is one major part in almost every technical coding round, coding companies. So first and foremost round basically includes these all things, ranging from aptitude to coding to SQL to technical MCQs and all. So you need to prepare all of these. Then after that you are able to good to go for the interviews, because what happened that if you prepare all of these things, then even if some company ask some only aptitude, then you won't be able to reject it, won't be able to get reject from that, right? Suppose you are a very good coder but you have not a good aptitude skills, then those companies which ask aptitude only, then in the first round, then in those companies you will be get rejected, right? Then you thought that I have done such a huge preparation, still I got rejected just because of aptitude, and it gives you a demotivation. Okay, so in that you can prepare aptitude well. The topics which I told you, those are important topics, you can do those first, and then you can hop on to next topics. And also, not only seeing the videos help you, but you need to prepare well. It's similar to like problem solving, because it is problem solving only, right? Like just like in DSA, if you see the videos and if you not solve the question, then it will never help you, because practice is the key to success. In the same way, you need to not only see the videos, but you need to prepare and practice the aptitude questions. Then in that only way you are able to master the aptitude also, because that is nothing but mathematics involved in that, like profit and loss, time and work, and your measurements like mensuration, and all of these types of questions are asked in aptitude rounds, which are relatively easy to medium. You can do it, and if you have a decent preparation, then you can easily able to crack the aptitude round of any company. And if you want to prepare for the best, then you can take the questions of Goldman Sachs, or you can take the question of Morgan Stanley. Those have a good question, a standard question, and those are the highest questions which are asked in difficulty level. If you prepare those, then you are good to go for any aptitude round in any company. Okay, so this is about which I discussed, like what you need to prepare in order to get fully prepared for the online test. So you need to prepare for aptitude, you need to prepare for technical MCQs, you need to prepare for SQL, and you need to prepare for something like Git, and well as your Unix, and these all you need to prepare apart from your coding and well as projects, so that you are able to go to the next round, because some companies ask aptitude and some companies won't ask aptitude. So if you don't know aptitude, then you get rejected in those companies. So in order to get better opportunities and more opportunities, it's better you need to do everything. ठीक है, rather than doing something, you need to do everything, so that you have a diverse background in all of this, and if any question come, then you are able to code it and do it in a much faster and easier way. So that's all about this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment sections. So that's all. Thank you and have a nice day.